Welcome back to the number one most valuable real estate community in existence. Today, we are with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Uncle Charles, joining us live today. I'm excited to sit down and chop it up with a true real estate legend. I got the opportunity to meet him in San Antonio in 2022. I want to say, or it was 23. 23, we got a chance to meet. I'm excited. We're going to go on ahead and we're going to get this event started. I'm going to send out a few announcements, for some people to hop in here, and then we're going to go on ahead and kick it off. But I'm excited. We're going to break down who Uncle Charles is, how he has gotten into real estate and scaled to his incredible empire now today. And I'm excited to break it all down with everybody here live. If you haven't already, you need to invite somebody you think would benefit from being in proximity with us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sending out that link. We're going to get started here. Without further ado, who is Uncle Charles?
Is that my cue?
There you go. There you go.
Well, thank you, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to your platform. I see some familiar faces here, some friends of mine, Chris and Juan. So thank you guys for joining us here. Um, Man, you guys have built an incredible community. So hats off to you.
Thank you.
And so I want to thank you for inviting me and of course giving me the opportunity to chat with everyone here. Who am I? Man, I'm a guy that I just don't know how to take a knee and stay down. So, I come from, a very, how can I say, my background when I first got, in the very beginning, my life didn't start off right. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
It didn't start off right, and I went through some bad troubles. But, after going through that horrible phase of my life, I laced up my boots, graduated from the University of Texas, and started a mortgage company. Lost it during the crash. Took another knee, and then started a real estate company that eventually led to flipping and creative financing and subject twos and all this type of stuff that I've learned how to do over the years. We call that company HBHS, which originally was called Home Buying Home Selling, and that led us into opening up a REIA here in San Antonio, which at the time was probably the largest REIA in San Antonio. And then we did wholesaling live because we dared to believe we could create the largest boiler room ever done. We did it twice. And have done a lot of deals, built a nice portfolio that I now share with my ex-partner. And, been involved in a lot of transactions. I know some of you guys probably don't know my story, but when I say that I come from, a hard background, I just made some mistakes when I was young, but what I'll say to you guys, is that no matter what happens in life, no matter what you go through, you can always get back up. You can always get back up. I've taken several knees in my life where I've lost everything, to include time, to include a lot of money, to include a lot of stuff, but I always get back up. For example, here in January recently, I didn't expect this, but my company split up. My partner and I split up, which was, it was hard. It was a hard thing to do, but You know, it was another knee that I was like, man, I've been building this company for 12 years. I thought we were going to take it to franchising and, massive educational platform. And we had a lot of stuff planned, but things sometimes don't pan out. And so you have to pivot. And these last 8 months, or rather, 7 months, I've decided to take all the content that I built over the years, all of my experience, and I started to dive into AI here about a year and a half ago, and I got in touch with some really good folks. And I said, hey, I've always taught, I've always mentored myself physically. I've never built a course. I never want to be a guru, but I want to build a lab, and I want to build a lab where anybody can plug in and get the content using AI without having to hire really expensive coaches and mentors and gurus. So we're almost ready to release REI Labs, and it's a true AI system. It's not predictive AI. It's not a responsive AI. It's a true generative AI. It thinks, it's learning, and we had it done in May, and up until now, it has over 10 million entries. It's learning on its own. It's searching the website, and so once we launch, people will be able to go on that system and ask it anything at 3 o'clock in the morning or at a drop of a dime. You're trying to do a contract, you don't know what you're doing, and ask it a question, and you're going to get a response. So that's what we built. To build that thing, you have to have top data scientists, and so over the years, I watched regular real estate guys do fantastic things. We even did wholesale live twice, and I've always dared to believe. So, for example, if you guys don't know, I did 8 years in the penitentiary for a crime I didn't commit. I was very bitter about that, but I said, no, I'm not going to stay here. I got my degree, and then I started a mortgage company. Made a lot of money. I lost it as a crash, and then I got back on my feet and started HBHS, and then the REIA, and then wholesale live, and then everything came to an end in January, and here I am on the verge of launching REI Labs, which I believe will change the entire industry and how folks consume educational information.
Well, that's exciting, man. I'm excited to hear more about what you've got cooking up. But even more excited to ask some questions, because you've obviously got a lot of years of experience in not only the industry but also in life, at least on me. And I'd love to learn from you, and I'm sure a lot of people in here would love to learn from you as well. Not only on the real estate side, but I know that you said that you were in a business relationship for 12 years with your
Yeah.
partner, and you've exited that business relationship. What do you think the biggest takeaway from that experience was, and what do you think you could probably learn or share with somebody that might be, in a relationship business wise right now with somebody, that they should be mindful of or that they should be aware of? What was one of the biggest learning lessons for you from that relationship?
Um. Well, let me gather my thoughts here for a second.
Absolutely. I know this is like a sensitive thing, could be, and of course, always want to respond
So,
respectfully, of course.
what I'll say is this: that if you get into a partnership with someone, you have to know that that other person is going to match your, your strengths, or you're going to be strong at one thing, they're going to be stronger at another thing. Some folks bring money to the table. Some folks bring experience to the table. What I'll say this is so important. I think people don't realize sometimes the 20% is more important than the 80%. You're like, man, I'm doing 80% of the work. Yeah, I know you are. That's because the 20% that I have is either the monetary investment that I'm bringing in or the experience. And so a lot of times partnerships break up because of that, because one side or the other gets tired, like, hey, I'm doing all the work, whatever. In my case, I have nothing but good things to say about my ex partner. Was it hurtful, for us to end HBHS? It did, but I think, he was a great partner. He was a great leader. He was an exceptional leader, and I was proud to. I'm proud to have called him my partner. The breakup was, it was any breakup is stressful. Anytime you do have a breakup, it's going to be it might, sometimes they hurt. But I have nothing bad to say. I think we did well. We did what we could. We did a lot, and we did more than we thought we ever going to do. And so I think we met every expectation that we could. In 12 years, we built a portfolio. We did many, 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 many flips, many, many, many subject twos, creative financings. We were in battles. We got sued. We did events. We traveled. We did so much, and sometimes things come to an end. and you have to be able to pivot. And if you don't pivot, then you fall apart. And so, I share a little bit in clip notes from my story of, I used to be ashamed to talk about my past, but I realize that sometimes people need to hear that. They need to know that no matter what you guys are going through right now, no matter what you're doing, no matter what's happening, you may feel like a door's closing on you. You may feel like you have no outlet. You may feel like it's all going to shit. But if we just step back for a second, you take a deep breath, and you say, you know what? I got to get from A to Z so that I'm good. And that A to Z may take everything you got. But if you're willing to go through it and you get that far, then when you come out on the other side, you're going to see that what you were going through wasn't that difficult. And I'll share this with everybody because I've had a lot of stuff that's happened in my life that it's crazy. Somebody told me this one time, and I was like, you know what? You're right, man. I'm going to tell you something, guys. Pay attention. Without without a challenge, without loss, without difficulty, without struggle, there is no testimony. There is no testimony. And the
Amen.
only way that you know is to know that you have defeated whatever it is that was in front of you. And that's the only way you can testify. And if you're not willing to, if anything else, guys, if you, no matter what's hurting you, no matter what's in front of you, man, fight for that testimony, man, because that testimony is what's going to drive you. And that's what drives me. Everything that's ever happened in my life that was hurtful, I mean, during the crash, I lost through $3.2 million. Like it killed me, man, to lose that money. But it's just another struggle, man. It's just another hurdle to go over, man. And so, when my company, I mean, I still own HBHS, but when it came to an end, as we knew it in January, I had to accept it, and I did, and I salute Michael. I think that, I pray he does well. He is doing well. He's a good guy. He's a good leader, but I'm doing well too, and that's the most important thing. Get through it, guys, and I promise you, man, that when you get on the other side, you're gonna be like, I'm stronger today than I was back then. So I hope that helps anybody. That's how I think.
Hey, that helps me, and I know that there's so many other people in here that definitely strikes a chord with, and you never really know what people are going through, especially behind closed doors. But it's so important, to always be able to have that resilience, and I love that you said, without that struggle, without that challenge, there is no testimony. Because I feel like there's got to be somebody in here right now. I know it applies to me, but there's got to be somebody else in here right now that is going through some sort of struggle. Because life is a struggle. We got to go through
Mhm.
the struggle and have that be ability to overcome the struggle and get that testimony is truly why we're alive.
Brother, bring it. I mean, if it's coming, let it all come because I know that when I get to the other side, it'll be that much. It'll feel that much better. So,
That's incredible. Well, talk to us a little bit about how you pivot. I know that you shared to take that deep breath and really reevaluate, but what are some of the ways that maybe you've pivoted because you've gone through a lot of these situations where you built up that mortgage business. You shared that you lost $3.2 million. I mean, how did you go from that sort of loss? Because hey, people that are just getting started, they're taking their first couple risks. Maybe they've stacked up a little bit of credit on the credit card, got a little bit of debt, but $3.2 million to bounce back from even that mentality of thinking that you've lost. How did you get over that? How did you overcome that?
so, I'll just give you some clip notes. So when they finally released me, they said you'll never graduate in the free world. I actually graduated. It was 4 degrees while I was in there, and I got out and I said I'm going to graduate, and I made it a point to graduate in the free world with a bachelor's in business and finance. So I was really proud of that. But when I got out, I went to work for a credit restoration company, and we quickly helped build it up to a national company. I was doing very well, and during that time, we were in close proximity with mortgage companies. I would watch what they were doing. I knew I couldn't get licensed, but I got really, really good because I would practice every single night on how to run, their systems. Like for example, Desktop Underwriter and Loan Prospector, which are the Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Before I knew it, I was running it better than anybody I knew. I would go into different offices and run their approvals. That's what they needed to get the loans done. So I would charge $200 to $300 in each one. Before I knew it, a broker said, "Hey, can you run my office since you're running all these approvals?" And then I was running an office. And before I knew it, a mortgage bank came in. A mortgage bank is not a broker, guys. You can broker, but they're a bank. It's not like Bank of America. A mortgage banker can be somebody with a computer or an office. And they came in. They were like, "Hey, we want to turn this office into a bank shop. We want him to run it." And I was like, "No." They're like, "Yeah, we know. Let's go." And so I was making a lot of money. When the mortgage, when the crash happened, how I lost those funds was, my accounts were frozen, because how does someone accumulate that much money being, managing? So that was one of the things that took place. And so at the time I was running 3 offices, and so I lost that, and because I couldn't prove that I was an originator, I couldn't get licensed. So I filed Chapter 7. I went from making really really good money every single month to making nothing, and the mortgage industry was being blown up, so I couldn't originate. I filed Chapter 7, then I filed Chapter 13. That was really hurtful. And then so I said, "Hey, I know how to move money." So I started facilitating private money between private investors, and I got real creative at that. And then I don't know. I'm always thinking. I'm always thinking. I'm always trying to find a solution to a problem. And then I figured out that if you could get a real estate broker to sponsor your LLC, you could own a real estate company. That's what I did. And before I knew it, I was running a real estate company. And then through the real estate company, I was like, "Hey, my partner actually, which bless his soul, man, he was very aggressive, always very aggressive. We started flipping. And then we started flipping. We started saying, "Hey, let's keep some of these properties." We started doing creative deals. And then we started doing subject twos. And then we started doing wholesaling, and then wholetailing. And then one thing to another thing. Then we got really good at finding people that had passed away. So we focused a lot on people who had passed and left properties. Then we started going after taxes. Guys, if anything, I'm going to tell you something right now. Taxes, tax foreclosures, guys. In Texas, there's a website called LGBS. They put all the tax foreclosures on there. If you were to scrub that list, you're gonna find this. This is what you need to go for. Ready? I'm gonna give you guys some tips. You're gonna find people losing their properties. What you need to look for is the ESTs, the ETOLs, and the LLCs. Let me tell you why. The ESTs, somebody's dead, go find their heirs. The ETOLs, somebody already took care of the deed, they're getting foreclosed. Sometimes in the ETOL, you're going to have LLCs, trusts, or people. Find them. Where do you find them? It's recorded. They're all right there. Skip trace and find them. The LLCs, here it is. Ready? We'll give you guys some gold today. If you find LLCs that are getting foreclosed, look up the LLC and see if if they're inactive. And if the LLC is inactive, they cannot contract. And if they cannot contract, then when you don't negotiate for the house, you negotiate for the sale of the LLC. So now you buy the LLC. Now there's a lot more that goes into that, guys, but you're basically buying the LLC. You have to reinstate it. So once you reinstate it, you own the LLC that owns the property. You're good to go. And so that's what we did. It was fantastic. And so as the industry matured and you started getting, in 2017, you started getting, VAs and dialers and all that stuff, PPL, PPC, all that's going on today. The industry's changed a lot. You got to change with it. And so for me, I always change with the industry, which is one reason today I'm very, very knee deep and very heavily invested in AI. And for example, we are on the verge of launching, REI Labs, which is an AI system unlike anybody has ever built. We're into it about $1.2 million. It is, I can't pronounce this word very well. It's called a generative AI, or you can ask it a question, it thinks, and it's going to give you an answer. It's beautiful. So always be willing to change, guys. Don't ever get stuck on one thing. And if you understand that stuff's going to happen, you'll always get through it. When I was running a big office, I would always tell people to embrace these 4 letters: DFND. DFND. Defeat, negativity, frustration, and discouragement. If you make them your friends, your friends, brother, ain't nothing can stop you. They're gonna come for you every single day. They're gonna come for you every fucking day. But I'll tell you something. If you make them your friends, nothing can stop you. And that's how I think. So
Wow.
did I answer your question, or did I ramble?
No, that is fantastic. I feel like there's definitely that was a lot of information. Number one, the actionable piece of information, the instruction for us to be able to go to that website, the lgbs.com, and target those LLCs that are inactive that may hold properties. I've never heard anybody talk about that anywhere. That's something I never heard from anyone. So that's a completely new strategy that's been shared here. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
How did you
So
get put onto that? I mean, where did this come from?
I'm very good at creative title. I don't talk about it much, but I'm very good at fixing title issues, and finding people. I got really good at that. And so over the years, so as we would scout the LGBS site, we were going after properties, people. We would notice there was ESTs, and those were pretty easy to figure out. We're finding errors, and so that we started noticing ETOLs. We're like, what the hell is ETOL? A group, a group of something, a trust, an LLC, or whatever. And so we started doing those, but we would notice the LLCs, and we would notice that they were inactive. And so, I know I've when I was incarcerated, I took a paralegal course because I wanted to learn about the law. I wanted to fight my case, and I helped a lot of people while I was in there. Believe it or not, guys, my real estate career started while I was in there. Let me tell you how. I became a paralegal in there. I got certified through Blackstone School of Law. They don't have it anymore, and I was helping people write their motions and their pro packets, and I would see all these affidavits of heirship come in, and I was like, what the hell is this? And I started to get interested in real estate. So while I was in there, I was just reading about real estate this, real estate that, and I was just learning a lot of stuff. And so I know a lot because I took that paralegal course. I know a little bit about the law, and I understood that an LLC technically cannot contract. They can sell their LLC, but they can't contract. And so when we started seeing these LLCs that were inactive, we're like, hey, why don't we buy the LLC? You guys want to hear? You guys want to hear the smoke? You want the smoke or not?
Yeah, tell us.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
All right. All right, let's go, guys. I'm gonna give you guys the smoke, man.
Drop some fire in the
Okay,
chat, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to hear this
here
smoke.
we go. I'm fixing to give you guys the fucking smoke. All right, here it is. Ready? We're gonna cliff note, but we're gonna go raw. All right, here we go. If you find an LLC that's inactive, well, first of all, you go to the Secretary of State website. You can do SOS entity search. You'll look it up. It's inactive. Boom. Now you're inactive. Now, if there's a professional real estate, if there's a professional registered agent, you have to go through them to find the owner, but sometimes the registered agent is the owner. So that's pretty easy to do. Now, if it's a professional registered agent, what I would do is I'd go to see who recorded the last documents. And whoever recorded the last documents, you go to see whoever the notary is, you skip trace them, call them, and let them know that you have official business with whoever was on that deed. And that's some of the ways that we used to find folks. Now, what happens with this, I'll tell you my best one. We made $165,000. We had a lady we were targeting for 6 months. The day before foreclosure, she said, help. This is the best one we ever did. So she was in Houston at the time. She was a Gold Star wife. Her husband had passed away. She had bought some properties and an LLC. And this particular property was in Monte Vista here in San Antonio. If you're from San Antonio, you know that if you get a deal in Monte Vista, like that's the shit here in San Antonio. And so she said, help. She was getting foreclosed for 25,000, and she talked me all the way to 200. We're talking about 9 o'clock at night, the day before foreclosure, and I said, as far as I go, for all I care, you can lose the property. So finally, she agreed. Pay attention, guys. What I'm about to tell you, I'm going to give you the smoke. Now, we didn't have a chance to do title or run. We ran everything we could manually, but we didn't have a chance to go to title or anything. This is the day before foreclosure, the night before foreclosure. And so what we did is we called our attorney. We said, hey, sober up. He was watching the Final Four. We're going to create some documents. We want you to approve them. So this is what we got. Ready, guys? I'm going to give you the smoke. First and foremost, we said we got to buy the LLC. So we have a bill of sale. But we knew that she hadn't filed in 5 years. So I needed a letter of acknowledgement that she would state what she would claim every one of those years. And I needed a POA so that I could eventually go to the comptroller and get those franchise tax filed, that I could reinstate the LLC with the Secretary of State. At the same time, I got her to give me a POA so I could sign and change the ownership of the LLC. Now you could do this through operating agreement, but I wanted to change everything at the top. So we have all these documents. Now, what about the 200,000? I said, I'm not giving you 200,000. I'm not giving you 200,000 because I don't know if I can clear title. This is what we did, guys. This is what you need to pay attention to. I said, what I'm willing to do is I'm willing to accept from you. Notice the wordplay. I'm willing to accept from you, right, a reverse note that we will file with the county to secure your interest against me with a 6 month moratorium and a 6 months extension. We can't clear title on a 12-month cap. And if I can't get this cleared, you get to keep my 25,000 that I'm going to pay tomorrow. Now, what did I just do? What did I just ask for? I asked for seller financing in a very creative way. Now, you guys can use that too. Because when you ask people for seller financing, most of the time they're like, what? We want our money. But what if you're willing to accept? I'm willing to accept from you, John, a reverse note that we will record with the county to secure your interest against me. I just need a 6 month moratorium. That's exactly what we did. And so she agreed. We typed up all the documents. We had everything ready to go. And I'm going to give you one little last piece before. This is the key thing, guys. And then I'll tell you how we did this deal. We also got an SWD. Now, most attorneys, when you do have time, and if they understand how to do this, they're going to say you don't need the SWD, special warranty deed. They're going to tell you don't need it. You don't need it because the LLC is inactive, and when they sign it, it's not something they can actually sign, right? Just remember that for a second, okay? So that morning, this was the beautiful deal. We got to the attorney's office. We paid the 25,000 plus the sheriff's fee. We stopped the foreclosure. Within 30 to 40 days, we reinstated the LLC. So now the LLC was active. The LLC owned the property. We owned the LLC. We sold the property very, very quickly. Made about 165,000. And the day of signing, the title company, the escrow officer, got smart and said, "Hey, we need to talk to her. She needs to sign this document. We need to verify this POA." And she wouldn't respond. She would not respond. So guess what we did? We filed the SWD. Why? Because there's no way the title company can verify that LLC was inactive at the time that it was signed. So when the SWD was filed, I sent her a text. I said, "Hey, your money's going to be at the title company. You can get it or you can leave it, but we're done." And that's an LLC capture. That is what we call an LLC capture. And that is how you can get creative on wholesaling or wholesaling transactions. Is that good?
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the side chat how many of us are understanding the amount of game that's being dropped right now. I mean, this is next level stuff. Even I'm not completely grasping all of these concepts. I understand the main gist of all of this, but I'm gonna have to get this broken down a little bit more. I've got to get my head wrapped around this a little bit more because there was a lot of different variables in play here. But how is it that this person reached out to you? You were going after this person for 6 months, you said. Did they reach out to you? They sent you a text message? How did they get back to you?
So before all this new wave stuff, came out, of course, we always have to adapt. I used to hold Wednesday and Saturday classes at my office, and we used to get 30, 40 people in there, and I was always teaching people how to do what I call breadcrumbing. But breadcrumbing, if you look that up, it's not going to mean what I'm about to tell you, but private investigators, how they find people is they follow breadcrumbs. People always leave stuff to leads them to them. And so that's what I would teach. I would teach people how to find individuals that had issues. So, for example, this particular deal, we knew it was on the foreclosure. It was on the sites of the firm that forecloses here. Lineberger forecloses on these properties. We knew it was in their hair. We knew it was in their line of sight. We knew they were going to foreclose. But we started to really focus on trying to get a hold of her. But she wouldn't answer anybody's calls. But we were just very aggressive, constantly sending her letters, constantly texting her, constantly calling her. And I think that night, the reason she may have called someone else, we never asked her, but I think that night, the reason that she reached out to us is because we were the most persistent, I want to believe. Guys, persistency is one of the most important things. I'll give you an example. Today, earlier, I had a Zoom with a young man out of Milwaukee. He's a young guy, probably about 19, 20 years old. This guy is so, I don't want to build another team. I do not want to build another team. I want to build a very small ninja team that's virtual. That's the route that I'm going for my real estate, because I'm fixing to launch REI Labs, which is a whole other focus of mine. But I said, hey man, let's have a meeting. This guy is so persistent, constantly hitting me up about a deal that we're trying to work with him. And I said, I got to talk to this guy. Anybody who is that persistent, I need to talk to. And he's like, man, I'm sorry for being just hounding you, bro. I said, brother, the reason I'm on the Zoom with you right now is because you did hound the shit out of me. And those are the type of people that I want to work with. I want to talk to people who take no for an answer. I want to talk to people who don't know how to stop. Those individuals who I want around me. And if you're so lucky to know someone like that, and they want to be in the business with you, I mean, those are the type of people that are going to help you win. You may not win for 12 years with them, and that's okay. But if you can win while you're with them, then win together.
That's incredible. Well, I know that we got some rock stars that are part of this community, and I'm sure that people have been motivated by what you shared so far. I mean, I'm learning something new that I've never even heard of. I got to bring Mr. Matt Riley up here, man. He's the creative guy. He talks a lot about creative stuff. I'm not sure if he's ever done something quite like this.
Is he coming on board?
I don't know. I don't know what he's up to. But
All right.
he's in the
Let,
audience.
let me, unless you have some questions for me, you want me to drop some smoke?
Drop some smoke.
All right, let's drop some smoke, man. I mean, let's talk about a little bit about what's going on in the industry right now. So, guys, wholesaling for a long time was beating the shit out of real estate, traditional real estate agents, and that's I'm not saying wholesaling is coming to an end, but wholesaling is being challenged all around, from all angles today. And so you have to, if you're just wholesaling today, and you're not making the money you were making, then you need to start adapting to different systems. For example, novations. That's the big craze today. You should learn how to do those novations if you're going to do traditional listings. In other words, if you're going to list a property for traditional financing. But if you're going to list a property on the MLS, and some people call this wholesaling listings or listing wholesales or RBG, I call it equity listings. It's very similar how you come up with the numbers, very similar to innovation. But if I'm going to attempt to wholesale a deal, in other words, assign a deal that I'm listing, I don't want to go through the whole innovation process. I don't want to do all the innovation documents. So we've come up with a different type of contract that allows us to list a deal and then assign it. So we list it for cash. If you're listing for cash, or let's just say hard money, or if you're a little more advanced and you're listing, for seller financing, at that point, you are listing to the public. You're listing for somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning to be looking at your property that you're selling at a discount and be like, hey, I can buy that. The one thing that I've learned here in the last 2 years is that wholesaling has been great, but we're only always selling to a very small group of folks. As much as we believe that there's a lot of buyers, and when the market's great, you got all the hedge funds and you got everybody buying. But as much as we believe that there's a lot of these folks out there, there's many more. There's more people, regular folks, who are willing to buy your properties if you just list to the public. So if you guys out here wholesaling and you haven't taken a stab at learning how to do novations, or what I call equity listings, you should really start to learn how to do that, because that's where the market is going. And so, that's primarily what I do today, all over the country. I mean, another thing when it comes, and I'll give you guys a little some smoke here. Um, a lot of times, guys, when you're making an offer, like let's just say you're trying to take down a subject to, or you're trying to make a creative offer on another subject. Now we're trying to get a deal, right? There's an agent involved. A lot of times, these agents, they're not up to speed on what we're learning. They're not up to speed on the new stuff. You may have an agent who's 50 years old, who's been in the business for 30 years, and here you are, a young gun, like you, John. I remember when I used to look your age, but you got a young gun here, and maybe he's not showing you that respect that he should show you. What I say to everybody is this. This is what I'm going to say to you. Pay attention to what I'm going to say. Make your offer. Make your offer. And the special provisions, put in there, see Exhibit A. Exhibit A is my sub 2 offer in the third person. I'm going to state what a sub 2 is. I'm going to state what the benefits are. I'm going to state what I'm trying to do. At the very end, I'm going to put my contact information. You know what that agent is? You know what that agent's responsibility to do? To present that offer. Now, what happens is, did you not just talk to that agent's client? You sure did. You talked to them through the contract. And a lot of times, if that contract busts, and if you guys are targeting, properties that have been on the market for 120, 150, 200 days, a lot of times what happens is those people end up calling you directly. And they're like, hey, you made an offer here 6 months ago, and I was working with an agent, and they advised me not to take the offer, but I'm still trying to sell. I need to get out of this deal. Can you tell me a little bit about this creative offer you submitted? So think about what I just said. If the agent ain't playing ball, who gives a fuck? Special provisions, see Exhibit A, put your offer in Exhibit A, and let the people read about it. That's how I bypass the agent.
That's some smoke, ladies and gentlemen, right there. That's some smoke for the on market deals, especially. Drop some fire in the chat for Uncle Charles, guys. This game is revolutionary. I could take all the stuff that he's learning and he's sharing with us that I've learned today and implement in my business to get results immediately. So if you guys aren't all paying attention, you need to be paying attention. I need to know how many of us are actually actively paying attention right now.
We got a good crowd here tonight.
Absolutely. We got some great info tonight, Uncle Charles. You're sharing some incredible info. I never would have even thought about the Exhibit A, going direct to these agents, because I've had that same issue with agents. And a lot of times, I talk to somebody, they have a property that's on market, or I also run Google Ads. So people will reach out to me. But, when the agent wants to get in the way, or maybe they think that they can figure out the deal and explain it to the seller, right? I never even thought about that being an option to submit an additional paper, that extra exhibit, so that they can read exactly what I have to share with them.
Just talk about it in the third person, so you're not talking to them directly. Look, guys, the same thing goes for regular folks. If you call someone and they're giving you the talk, we've all encountered those rude individuals, and they're like, man, just what's your offer? What's your offer? What's your offer? This is my answer. What's your email? What's your email, man? And then I email them. And I say, Mr. Johnson, I'm submitting to the offer that I said I would. I acknowledge and I realize this may not be the offer that you will accept. As a matter of fact, I think you will reject it. However, if you will give me 2 or 3 minutes of your time to ask the questions that I need to ask, I'm extremely confident that I can give you a much better offer that you may accept. And we get on a call. Guys, you know how many times people respond. They're like, all right, man, I'm sorry. Can we talk at 3 o'clock? Fuck, why are you going to be on the phone? Well, can I just ask you a question? Can I just ask? No. What's your email? You want an offer? I'll give you an offer. And then tell them, I know this is not the offer you're going to accept. But if I had 3 minutes of your time, and people sometimes, what happens is you guys have to understand the psychology of people. Most people are not narcissists. Most people have a sense of humility. And if they want to sell and you went so far as to put them in their place on the cool, they want to make things right. So they'll give you the time to talk to them. So think about that next time. And another thing, I'll tell you something else. A lot of times when you're making an offer, sometimes, it's just not going to work, guys. It's just not going to work. Okay. So if I was talking to John here and we weren't meeting eye to eye, what I'd say to John was, you know what, John? Man, I really appreciate you showing me this house. I love it. And guys, understand something. I love every house. Every house. And I'll ask you to change this in your vocabulary. Try hard, because it was very hard for me. Stop making offers. Stop asking, what do you want? Always say, I'm interested. I want to help. God, I'm interested. I'd love to help. I'm interested in this property. But sometimes you're going to run into someone you're just not going to play ball. And I'm going to say, you know what, John? Man, I want to thank you for showing me this house. I love it. I think it's beautiful. Even if it's a piece of shit. I don't think I'm the right guy for you. I don't think I'm the right guy for you. But you know what I want to do? I want to help you. I'm going to tell. I'm going to tell him. I should have told back in the day, and I probably wouldn't have got locked up. Right? But I learned my lesson well. This time I'm telling. I'm putting cases on everybody. You know what I'm doing? I'm going to say, here's what you got to look out for. If somebody brings you a contract, they can put $10 on it. And if they're saying they can back out of the deal, if they didn't have money on an option period, and this and that and this, watch out for all this, and don't accept a one-page contract. Look, if you get anything like that, give me a call. I got you. I'm telling you. And you know what happens? 9 times out of 10. Hey Charles, are you still interested in my house? I got all these people calling me and they're making these offers and they're sending me one-page contracts and they're putting $10 on the contract. Boom. Become a friend. You guys get it? Does that help anybody? I hope it does.
Absolutely. Let us know in the side chat, ladies and gentlemen. Becoming a friend, the importance of becoming a friend, leading with the attitude of servitude.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't get the deal, why not become his friend? If you can't get the deal, why not become his friend? You just never know when they're going to have another property. You never know when things are going to fall out. If things fall out, if you walk away from somebody, and if you walk away from somebody because you couldn't strike a deal, and or you're rude to somebody because you couldn't strike a deal, or you're satirical with someone because you couldn't strike a deal. I find that a lot. A lot of people do that. Then you just never know. You may have been the guy they would have called and said, man, I'm still trying to sell my house. And so you always want to be nice. You always want to be interested. You always want to say you love the property. It could be a piece. They know it's a piece of shit. They know it's a piece of shit. I'll give you some more. I'll give you a little bit more juice. Right? If you're at somebody's house and you know it's trash, man. And what I'm always looking for is, where is the problem? And I'm going to walk towards that problem with the owner. And if they don't bring it up, I'm going to see, like, John, can you tell me about this already? I mean, can you tell me about this on the ceiling? Can you tell me what happened here? Oh, I see. You got a roof leak? Did you guys get that fixed? How much did it cost? All right, great. By chance, have you talked to anybody about getting this redone? Make sure, it goes back to the way it looked. Oh, you haven't? Do you know what it would cost? Sometimes they offer it. Sometimes they say, yeah, man, it was just real expensive. Somebody told me they would pay $7,000. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for them to tell me. You know why? At that point, I'm going to say, you know what, John? I love this house. But I agree with you. I agree with you. It's going to cost about $7,000. You guys get it? So now, boom. So now I don't have to tell them, hey man, this is going to cost $7,000, because in their mind, when you do that, they're going to be like, I fucking know that. I'm going to agree with you. And so those are little tactics that you can use when you're talking to people. Like, one other big thing, for example, for me, especially when I'm teaching folks, is how to do tie downs and tonality. Tonality is really big. But when you're talking to someone and they're going through something, sometimes some folks, and don't ever lie, guys, don't make stuff up. But sometimes you'll get somebody to say, look, I'm trying to sell my house. My mom recently passed away, and you got to meet their tone. You got to get down to where they're at mentally and what they're going through. And and I take myself there. For example, my father passed away a few years ago, and it's a situation like that. I'm like, you know what, John, I get it, man. I get it. My father passed away 4 years ago from colon cancer, and it was a horrible death, man. Real life experiences. You're bonding. That's a tie down. That is an emotional tie down, and you met them at their level, man. You're in their frequency. You see? And guess when you can reach someone's frequency, not only their trust, guys. Because let me tell you something about trust. If somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer to, don't make shit up. Just this is what you say. You know what, John? I don't know the answer to that question, but I know my partner Charles does. I tell you what, um, I'll get you that answer here later after we finish seeing the home. And well, back to the property. What I was saying, just pivot. You have to be able to meet someone's frequency. They have to know that everything you're telling them and what you're doing is on the up and up, even if it's not a good deal for them. If it's not a good deal, it's not a good deal. I don't think I'm the guy for you, but let me help you out. You guys get it? You have to understand that. If you're on their frequency, they're going to identify you. Why? Identify with you because you're creating tie downs with them. If you don't know the answer, don't make some shit up. Because we all know, we go to Home Depot or Lowe's and we ask one of those fucking guys a question about plumbing. They don't know about plumbing. We know they're making that shit up, and we don't know shit about plumbing. People don't like that. People don't like to be lied to. So just, you know what? Answer the question. I don't know. I'm gonna get you the answer, and they respect that. For example, here in San Antonio, there's a lot of military folks. So when I'm talking to someone on the sub two, guys, I'm just throwing a lot of stuff at you now, man. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm just gonna try to give you guys a lot of smoke right now.
You're
For
killing
example,
it.
when I'm talking to someone and they're military, and let's just say I get a lot of referrals, and so what I do is, if we're talking about a sub two again, I might say, hey John, how you doing? My name's Charles. I was referred to you by Jennifer over here at Remax. She said you got a property you need to sell pretty quickly. I believe you got orders you got to ship out, and you just bought the property about 2 years ago. You don't have that much equity, and I believe she said you're competing with the builder on the street. What did I just do? I just told him all his problems. You got to go. You ain't got no equity. You're competing with the builder on the street. What leverage do you have? Ready, guys? Here it is. This is my spill. Now, if your company doesn't say what it is, you got to tell them. But my company does. I said, well, John, I'm with Home Buying Home Selling Solutions. We buy properties cash all over Texas and sometimes around the country. What did he hear? What did he hear right now? He heard cash. I'm trying to open up his ears. Most people who learn how to do subject to, right away they want to talk about subject to, and the people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Take over payments. I never talk about that. I say, John, I buy properties cash. You ready? But I can't buy all properties cash. Because sometimes people destroy the houses. And you're probably feeling pretty good because your house is in good condition, right? You're like, well, shit, my house is good. And here it comes. You ready? Here it comes. And sometimes people owe too much money. You notice the tonality? And now you're like, fuck. You were up, you buys cash, and then you're down, like, you're like, oh shit, my house is good. And then you're down again, like, god damn. Here it is. Ready? Ready, John? John,
I'm
here's the
ready.
thing. Here's the thing, brother. We got a program. It's called a Sell and Save Experience. Not everybody qualifies, but if you'll give me a copy of your mortgage statement, as a matter of fact, text it over to me right here. I can let you know later today if we qualify for the cash offer and or our sell and save experience. And have I even brought up the subject to? No, I have not brought it up. But I get that mortgage statement every single time. I already know if it's a new home, I want that property because it's a new home. I just want to see the terms. Now I know it's a VA loan, but I want to see the terms. I want to see if he's behind. I want to see what's going on. I'm gonna do clip notes right here, guys. I'm gonna go clip notes because it's a song and it's a dance. I've done this over the phone or in person. If it's in person, I'm gonna meet the individual. I'm gonna shake his hand. I'm gonna give him a good handshake because we're creating a physical tie down. If it's a female, I'm gonna lightly shake her hand. We're creating a physical tie down. I'm looking. If I was on the phone building report, I'm looking to see what's on the walls. I'm looking to see if there's a picture of their child of their kids going to A&M. Guess what? Your child's going to A&M. Might went to UT. What do you specialize in? What's your MOS? What do you specialize? Oh, I was in the military too. I was at 11 Charlie. I did my basic at Fort Benning. Where were you? You see, guys, you have to understand. You don't have to go right into the deal. You don't have to go right into the strategy. You have to bring that wall down. How did I bring that wall down? First of all, I told him all his problems. Second of all, I told him I buy cash. And then I said I couldn't buy other properties cash. Sometimes people fuck up the properties and they're like, oh shit, mine is great. And then I said, hey, sometimes people owe too much. Oh fuck. But hey, I got a special program. It's called Sell and Save Experience. You guys get it? And when we're looking at this property, if it's one that I want, I'm gonna at some point turn around and say, John, look, man, I love the property. I'm interested. And as much as I would like to buy this property cash, I just can't, man. You owe too much. I tell you what, you do qualify for our sell and save experience. Would you like to hear about it? And 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say yes. Like a vampire, I just got invited to share. They have to be ready to listen to. They have to be ready to accept what you're about to tell them. If you guys are learning subject 2 and the first thing you do is talk about subject 2, what they're thinking is, what the fuck are you talking about? And so let me clip note all the way to the end, because sometimes, guys, when you do that, they're ready to sign that quick, man. But sometimes you have some folks that don't want to sign. They start questioning you. They start questioning you. You know what I do? I say, you know what, John? I don't think I'm the guy for you, bro. I don't think I'm the guy for you. But I tell you what, I want to help. Have you spoken to a real estate agent? If they haven't, I'm going to tell them. If they have, I'm going to tell them to go back. Have you spoken to a real estate agent? Because let me share something with you, John. Have you asked that agent what happens if you list this property and you list it overpriced because the builders actually selling houses that are brand new down the street? If it doesn't sell, what's going to happen? Are they going to ask you to do a short sale? Are they going to ask you to maybe contemplate a deed in lieu of foreclosure? What if you get foreclosed? Are they going to ask you to be an out-of-state landlord or entrust your property to a management company? John, if you entrust your property to a management company for 10% of what they're going to make, why doesn't my offer make more sense? I'm telling you, let's put the property into a trust where we become the trustees, oversee the property. There's regulations on me as a trustee to oversee that trust, and we're going to make the payments. The only thing I want to know is, to do this deal, I need to own what's in that trust. You have no equity. My question to you is, why is that not attractive to you? Because if you lose this property, my main question to you, John, is this. You said you're trying to do your 20. What happens if you get foreclosed? You want to know? Do you have security clearance? Are you trying to get security clearance in the Army? You're not going to get it, John. And if you have it, you're going to lose it. Because if you lose this house, you're going to lose the security clearance. Now, I would ask you to go ask your captain and ask him this question. If, in fact, losing this property will go against you getting your going up in rank. Because getting rank in the Army is not just about performance; it's about moral turpitude. Not only that, John, you're going to lose your eligibility to buy another property VA, and you're going to owe the VA money. So as I share all this stuff with you, John, I don't think I'm the right guy for you, but I want to help you. And guys, what I'm trying to tell you is that if you understand how to present the offer. Okay. And not just write, hey, well, look, I can take over your property subject to, and this is what we're going to do, put it into a trust. You have to understand these folks, they've never heard that language. You have to be able to paint the picture for them. And if you understand how to do that, and you come up with that for any type of strategy that you're working, and you will do more deals. The same goes for novations. For example, today, we all know that the real estate industry took a big L. I love that link. I love that. I love that. I love that link. You know what that link is? It is that beautiful, beautiful website that tells how real estate agents took a big L. Because when I'm talking to someone about possibly doing innovation, I'm telling them, I'm saying, John, look, I'm interested in doing this deal, but I want to work for my money. I want to work for my money. I don't want to be like these real estate agents. By the way, guys, nobody likes real estate agents. People don't like them. I don't want to be like these real estate agents that out the gate want to charge you 6%. What I'd rather do is let's figure out at what price we can agree to. But keep in mind, you got some work to do here. There is going to be selling costs. At what price can we list this property? At what price can I get this property? Or I can then do the work that an agent can do times 10. I'm going to list it across the nation on a private investor network. I'm not going to charge you a penny. You're not going to pay closing costs. As a matter of fact, I just sent you a link. Can you check that out? Did you know that the real estate industry got sued and lost in federal court because they were overcharging people? Can you imagine that? Guys, you got sometimes it's much easier to tell people what's happening, and you get the deals a lot easier if you just use the information around you to make them understand that you are the guy that's going to get it done.
Love that.
I know we're kind of just all over the place, guys, but
But these are
there's no
great.
script
These are
here.
great.
Whatever questions you have,
Yeah, I'd love to open it up for questions. I'm learning a lot. I know that this is, and it's always good to refine. You never know everything. And even if you've got something that's working, you can always learn something from someone. And I'm definitely learning from Uncle Charles here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be implementing this in my business. I say this for real. Like, I'm going to be implementing this in my business. That one gem, especially, where you did the LLC takeover, that's really piqued my interest, and I'm going to be looking into that. We should, if you've got some time, dive a little bit deeper into something like that, because man, that is something I've never heard of before. And we talk about creative stuff, we talk about innovations, we talk about wraps, we talk about sub two, but the LLC takeover, specifically finding these people with LLCs that are inactive, that hold properties, and instead of being able to buy the property from that LLC, but buying the entity that holds that property, is something unique. I've never heard that before.
Well, I'll give you a little bit more smoke if you want.
Bring on the
We're gonna get
smoke.
stoned. We're
Bring
gonna
on
get
the
stoned
smoke.
tonight, man. Guys, there's a lot of talk about legislating wholesaling, man. But what you have to understand is, no matter how much the legislature tries or the Congress tries, I'm talking about legislatures. Like in Texas, we call it the legislature, right? The state house. They can't legislate power of attorneys or the selling of LLCs, or they can't do that. They can say that you need to get licensed. That's fine. But guys, there's always a way around stuff. I'll give you an example. I had some friends of mine that were getting tired of double closing in Illinois, and they're making it kind of hard up there. I'm like, guys, why don't you just go to this website here, buy yourself 4 or 5 or 10 LLCs. Don't get the EI numbers in Wyoming. Cost you about $200. It's an online site, and now you own these little LLCs. Go contract these properties under the LLCs, and don't wholesale. Sell the LLC, and have them order the EI number. So now they get to close they get to close in the LLC that they purchased from you. So are you wholesaling, or are you selling an LLC? You want to get medieval? You want to get real medieval, John? I don't think you want to get medieval. You want to get medieval, man?
Talk to us, man. Talk to us.
All right, guys. This is the nuggets of the nuggets, man. Why can't you create a trust? You create a trust, right? You can create it over and over and over again, right? Using the same documentation, just name it something else. And contract properties in a trust. And you sell the trust. Now, guys, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but think about what I'm about to tell you. If you go contract a property and you want to wholesale it, fantastic. But if you go contract a property and the trust is the contracting party, and you then sell the trust, are you wholesaling or are you selling a trust? I want to go too far into that, guys, but I'm just trying to open up your mind. There's a lot of ways to get around stuff, and so that's something they cannot legislate. They cannot legislate the the selling of an LLC. They cannot legislate the selling of a trust. Did you guys get that?
I got that. That's something I've actually done. I've sold an LLC that just held a property before it was for a short sale. Um, so I have limited experience, but I have done this before. I'm interested to learn about the trust and understanding how that kind of plays into, you know, what are the benefits of assigning maybe like the beneficial interest of a trust versus an LLC.
Well, I mean, the benefits of doing the trust is that you don't have to go open up an LLC. So you sell the trust and you assign the beneficiary rights. You're good to go. What the reason I share this stuff is because so many people today are so concerned with the wholesaling aspect of regulation, and there's certain states where stuff's a little difficult to do stuff. But if you just learn how to be a little more creative, if you learn how to be a little more creative in what you're doing, then you can get more deals done. So in a nutshell, what we talked about here today was not only my past and how not to give up, guys, whatever you're going through, there's always a silver lining. There's always something better for you at the end of the tunnel if you just stand back up and just keep going through it. We talked about LLCs, we talked capturing LLCs, we talked about morphing from wholesaling to innovations and equity listings. We talked about how to capture subject to. We talked about tonality. We talked about tie down. We talked about, hey, not just going for the throat and talking to somebody about sub two. You have to paint the picture for folks so they can understand the vision of what you're trying to accomplish. And then we talked a little bit about being creative. So if you're creative in what you do, then you can get more deals.
Well, there you have it,
One thing
ladies
I
and
will
gentlemen.
say, one thing I will say to everyone who's listening here tonight is, guys, I know a lot of stuff. I do. I mean, I've been around for a long time. When I first started, I didn't know how I was going to learn so much stuff. I never knew, like, I never would have envisioned all these things that I've done over the years. But guys, I don't want you to think I do this stuff every day. Like, I couldn't do all this stuff on my own. When I had a big operation, I had some folks doing, you know, we Mike and I had some folks doing our flip. We had some folks doing, just foreclosures. Some folks researching just taxes. Some folks doing just the PPCs. Like, we had different people doing different stuff. You cannot do this on your own. And you have to work with people you can trust. And another thing I'll say to you is, there's so many strategies in real estate you can do. But I would say to everybody, pick one or two, at the max three. Most people, the top three usually is wholesaling, sub two, and flipping. Pick, two or three strategies, stick to those strategies, get really good at them. What you're going to find is you're going to get really good at one. That's going to be your money maker. Invest in that one. And then I'm going to say something right now that's probably a little controversial. And people that do real estate at a high level, guys, I'm going to tell you something, man. In this real estate business that we're in, there's a lot of people that make money. I've made a lot of money, but you need to also always think about an exit. Think of something else. Like, for example, I've been in real estate for a long time, and today I'm fixing to launch REI Labs. When I launch REI Labs, it'll be all my experience, all my history, all my investment built into the system that I will eventually, hopefully, morph into a digital company. And so I always think of, don't use real estate as like, hey, I'm going to do this forever. You should learn. You can make a lot of money with real estate, but you should use real estate so you can build yourself up to do something else.
Mm, that's huge. I think that's something I'm gonna definitely take away from this conversation too, because that's all I'm focused on. That's all I can see right now, just real estate.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of money to be made, John, and there's a lot of good people out there that have done very well. I used to think, we used to go to these events, and we had a lot of properties, man, a lot of properties, and we thought we were the shit. And and then you get into a room, and you're like, what the fuck? You got how many doors? You got 11,000 doors, and you get humbled, and then you start to realize, like, damn, there's people doing this stuff at another level. And then you start meeting folks that are doing developments. I have a friend of mine. I don't want to say his name here, but because I don't know if he wants the attention, but he's out in San Francisco, and about 7 years ago, he was like, Charles, why don't you wholesale entitlements? And we wholesale entitlements. But wholesaling entitlements in San Francisco is a lot different than wholesaling entitlements in San Antonio. For example, to this day, he does maybe one or two deals a year and has two or three set in the future. You know what he's doing? He has folks working for him trying, finding tracts of land, and then he can do the entitlements on. I believe he
Oh,
started out
okay.
with a small gas station, and then he did a small apartment complex. And the last I heard, he did a 30-story building. So you have to understand these developers have acquisition agents too. And the worst thing about those guys is they are fucking lazy. They're trying to find that nut. And here, if you become the squirrel that finds the nut for them, it's much easier for them to take that project to their company. And guess what? A piece of land that's been approved for a project is a lot more expensive than a piece of dirt that has no project. There's
Mm.
so many ways to skin this cat. I'll give you another. As we're here about dropping smoke today, you should have called it smoke. I had there's some folks that just don't get it. They don't fucking get it. So, you know, if you don't get it, you don't get nothing about real estate. You don't understand it, but you understand people.
Mm.
Years ago, I had this young guy. He just couldn't get it, man, and he just didn't understand. And so I said, you know what you need to do? You need to find people. You need to find people for people like me. I want to sell properties on a wraps. I want to sell properties owner finance. Go find people. And so he started putting out these bandit signs. Now he does it all over social media. Finding people who want to buy owner finance. And so he has a big book of business. And at first, he used to bring people to me, and now he brings people to everybody all across the nation. This guy makes so much money, and all he's doing is finding people who want to buy owner finance. He's not a real estate agent. He's just a guy that wholesales opportunities. What is he wholesaling? Hey, Charles, I got somebody here with $50,000. He's looking for this property. You got one. Think about that. Is he doing real estate? He's in the people business. He's dealing with folks who are doing real estate. We're doing all the hard work. He's doing the easy work. And it's just so fantastic in this business how I've met so many people that one way or another, they find a different niche and they make a lot of money. Just the example I'm giving you right now. He's finding people who want to buy owner finance. And then he brings those folks to all of us who are out here doing all the hard work.
I love that. Just like you said, there's so many different ways to skin the cat. There's so many different ways to make money. There's so many different exit strategies, acquisition strategies, and it's crazy just to also see, how REI Rev has grown and evolved because, like 2 years ago, the only topic of conversation was the off-market direct to seller assignments, you know? Then we got incredible people to come and pour into the community like Mr. Bob Sadai, and started talking about creative stuff. And, that really started to open up the mind, but it really took off, when Matt, Riley, and Bob could talk together. And now, you're bringing a whole other lens to the creative side, and that just completely changes everything just based off of what you shared, the actionable instruction that you shared tonight. People can go right now and start actually finding those inactive LLCs and start figuring out how to do those LLC takeovers. That's stuff that I love to see. And I'm telling you guys, like the amount of excellence that's here, just the amount of value from the members that come and share, from people like Uncle Charles who come and share their experience, is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like this anywhere, especially for free. So I greatly appreciate this, Uncle Charles. I am curious, how did you find out about REI Rev?
Um, somebody invited me to it, and I'd never been on a Discord before. And you know, I'm gonna tell you something, man. A lot of folks, I didn't even know what a Discord was, and a lot of folks they're afraid of new stuff, and they're afraid of new stuff because they don't understand it. They think they're gonna fail at it. And I just jumped in one day, and I'm like, okay, well, where do I go? I started clicking all the buttons, and I went. I was in some buttons where there was music playing. There's nobody here. Like, what the fuck's going on? You know, and and I was looking at all these chats. I couldn't make head or tails of all the chats, and I was like, and then today I don't know. I think I was in here just listening to some folks, or I made a comment, and then here we are, man. We're just chatting. We're just chatting, just sharing, sharing information, man.
That's incredible. Well, we're beyond blessed to be in proximity with the Uncle Charles, and I know that you were offering an incredible opportunity, for some people that were very serious, that really wanted to be in proximity and learn with you. I know that you've got REI Labs coming out here, and I'm excited to see how that progresses. But what do you see for the future? I know that you're making a pivot. You're going through a transitional period in your business. What does the future look like for you and HBHS?
Um, RA Labs is going to stand on its own. I mean, um, I initially had called it HBHS Labs. That's how we're going to launch it. But it's RA Labs, man. It belongs to everybody. So I didn't want it to be an HBHS thing. I thought myself, I'm investing all this money to build this system. It's never been built before because the technology wasn't there. And it's going to be very, very unique, and that anybody will be able to really just take shit to another level. And I said, you know what, this thing has to be bigger than me. I want it to be about me. I want it to be about my legacy and Uncle Charles, and I want to talk about all the beautiful things I've done. But I'm like, you know what, this thing is bigger than me. So this thing belongs to the people. Now, what I mean by this, of course, it'll be a subscription model, but it belongs to everybody. So once we launch it, that's my focus. It belongs to REI, to real estate investing, and so that's why I named it REI Labs. So once we launch completely, folks will have the opportunity to jump in. And guess what, my friend? It's also
What's
in
that?
Spanish. It's
Oh,
in full blown Spanish, man. So the
fíjate.
Spanish community for a long time has been underserved. All the systems are in English, and people don't know this, but there's some very large Spanish communities in the states, and also, for example, in South America. So we went and we took this one step further, and we created REI Labs, and it's the actual name of it. The lab is the lab, right? It has a bunch of stuff in it, but the name of it is called UCAI, Uncle Charles AI, and it's in
Hey,
Spanish. It's in Spanish and English. So once we launch it, I think a lot of people will benefit from it.
absolutely. That is incredible. I personally live in South America. I'm in Chile right now. I've taught myself Spanish, and I know, you know, how underserved the Latino community is, especially, in real estate. And there are a lot of buyers, a lot of big buyers, they're in the game, but you have to
Yo,
be able to speak Spanish to be able to transact.
yo hablo español. ¿Hablo español?
Hablo español.
Man, I'm actually talking to a few folks, man. I don't know if it's going to materialize or not. I'm actually talking to a few folks about possibly launching in Colombia, maybe doing 3 events, Colombia, and Medellin, Cali, and Bogota. So we're in the works of talking about that. I mean, we're actually got legs under it. We're hoping it's something we can actually do. I believe very strongly, um, that the Spanish community, at some point, and those of you guys who don't know Spanish, you should learn. I
Absolutely.
believe very, very, very strongly that at some point in the next 10 years, we're going to see a massive amount of Latinos doing the real estate in the States. And so, I think we're positioned perfectly. And that's why if we can get this event started, launched in Colombia, we will. If not, we'll still launch. We can launch. You're in Chile right now. I didn't know you
I'm
were
in
in Chile.
Chile. Sí,
So
estoy aquí
think
en
about that.
Santiago. You
Yeah,
say
think
the
about that.
word,
We
and
can.
I'm there in Colombia. I've been all over South America, Argentina, Colombia, Ecuador, Brazil. I speak Portuguese as well.
Wow.
And my wife's Portuguese is Brazilian, and yeah, I'm in Chile, and I'm speaking Spanish. So I'm trying to really submerge myself because look, just like you're saying, there's so many different ways to skin the cat. I know there's a lot of buzz, there's a lot of hype around the market in the United States. But I see it. I'm here. I'm in Chile. I see these lots in the commercial districts that are just untouched, right? And so building up an incredible community and investing in South America is going to be an incredible opportunity, unlike anything we've ever seen before. And I believe that wholeheartedly, and I position myself to become, fluent speaking Portuguese and Spanish because I believe that will happen in the next 10 years.
I think you're right. And so for everybody in here who's learning, guys, what I'll say to you is, man, you got to go all in, man. Fuck Netflix, fuck watching HBO, you know, partying shit at night, man. Guys. Like I'm older than probably everybody here, but I'm always on tilt. I'm on tilt because I lost a lot of time in my life because I fucked up in the beginning. So I feel young at heart, and I'm always just going, 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 going. And what I say to everybody, man, is, brother, turn it on. Let's go. Make some money. Change your life, and remove everything in your path that even stops you from accomplishing your goals. It's doable. And I mean, I didn't know you were in Chile. I mean, God, we're here. We're having a conversation tonight just out of the blue. You're in Chile. I'm over here. I mean, that's extraordinary, man. We wouldn't have been able to do that 10 years ago.
Absolutely not. It's
Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
yeah, it is. All right, man. So what? Any other questions or anything?
Yeah, hey, well, first and foremost, I got to thank you, Uncle Charles, for giving your time and really participating in the community and making this the number one most valuable real estate community in existence because it wouldn't be anything without people just like you. And I know that I'm not the only one that learned something significant from tonight's conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you like to open it up maybe 5, 6 minutes for some questions? Use this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to be in proximity with Theo Charles, okay? Come up here on the stage and use the side chat as well to write out your questions. We want to answer a couple questions and we're going to send it off. Thank you so much again, Uncle Charles. We sincerely appreciate you coming to share with us.
Of course, man. It's been my pleasure.
We got a couple of requests. There are some people that are curious about the trust paperwork, and then we also want to hear the story time of how you got your first wholesale deal.
And I'll tell you, the trust paperwork, guys. Like, man, it's not that difficult, man. Get with an attorney, draw up a trust documents, and let them know what you're gonna do. They'll be able to create it for you fairly easy. You can sell the trust if you want. So, and then you're selling the beneficiary rights to that trust. So your LLC then is buying the beneficiary rights or acquiring the beneficiary rights, and all you're doing is just at that point, if you're contracting a property with a trust name, and I tell John, hey John, I got this property. Look, guys, as much as we know we're not supposed to market properties, we're gonna tell each other about the property. But I got this property, man, and let's just say it's 2030, and they changed the entire laws. We can't wholesale no more. I got this property, John. I got it contracted. It's actually under this trust. I'd like to sell you the trust. You good? Oh, by the way, do you like the property? That's as much clip notes I can give you guys. Just get with an attorney to draw you one up. Um, the other question you asked was my first wholesale. So the first wholesale, we 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 started. So I started Home Buy Home Selling as a royalty company. and that's what we were focused on. And then we started doing some flips. We were doing flips, and I was real creative there in the mortgage era, and when I was facilitating private money. So creative financing was already kind of just up my alley. I was good with that, and we started hearing this thing about selling contracts. Truth be told, at the time, New Western and Net Worth Realty were really, really big, about wholesaling. And we're just trying to figure out like like how are they doing this? Nobody would tell you. Like today, guys, this conversation, like this wouldn't have happened back in 2012. Like it wouldn't have happened, man. Everybody was very closed mouth about what they were doing. So we started to reverse engineer. So we were getting all the properties emailed to us so we could possibly buy the properties because that's what they would do. But what we would do is we would track the properties through the county records. We were seeing who was buying them, how they were selling them, and so we started to understand what the process was. And so we had a deal one time, and we're like, man, we got this deal at a really low price point. Why don't we try this? Why don't we try selling this contract? And it was so easy. We're like, what? This is all they're doing? And we didn't know what an assignment was, guys. We didn't know what the fucking assignment was. We didn't know what a contract, like what contract are you using for this? We didn't know, man. And we were asking everybody, like, what's an assignment contract? It was so simple, like stupid questions. And that we were asking, but we got it done. And we were like, man, this is so simple. And it was off to the races. It was off to the races at that point, man. We dove in really heavily into understanding how the wholesale worked. And so we started to look up old videos of TV infomercials. And guys, I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of those old timers, what they were talking about at 3 o'clock in the morning, it was real shit. They just didn't, they just didn't call it wholesaling. They didn't call it subject to. They were telling you, man, you could buy properties for nothing. You could sell properties for nothing. They were giving people the smoke. It just cost you $50,000 to get it. You know, and it was real shit. It was the real deal. People weren't paying attention. Yes, sir, Carlton Sheets. He's one of the goats, man. And it's real stuff, guys. We just weren't paying attention because everybody thought these guys have to be scam artists. All these scam artists coming out, they're coming out at 3 o'clock in the morning. They must be scam artists. Guess what? They were giving people the real smoke, man. And those who paid attention made a lot of money, and those who didn't. And so today, it's all over the place. You have no excuses. Like here we are. I'm here with John. Which John, thank you so much, man, for doing this. He's in Chile. I'm here in San Antonio. We're talking about real estate. We're dropping some smoke. Nobody has an excuse today not to make money.
Mm. I mean, that is facts.
Yep. Especially in real estate. I always say when I was doing my events, I always would say that real estate is the great equalizer. Let me share with you. Real estate doesn't care what color you are. Real estate doesn't care what your social status is. It doesn't care what your level of education is. The only thing it cares about is we have a deal. I've seen guys that look like, man, I've seen some dudes in proximity doing deals with doctor looking guys. Like this, I think that's doctor. And this dude looks like he just mass murdered somebody. I've seen people do deals, man. It's not about who you are, what you do. It's just about, hey, you have the deal, and can you get in front of the right people? That's it, man. It's a great equalizer for everybody.
Well, I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that. As somebody that decided to drop out of high school and then community college, I knew that there had to have been some other way, right? And I love that you shared that because I got a friend in here that comes to mind, and we've seen his growth and where he started, and to see where he's going is incredible to see. And he didn't come from any sort of educated background. He didn't come from even really a stable household, but now he's been able to create something for himself, and he's going to be leaving a legacy behind. So they know who they are. Huge shout out to him. and it's incredible to see. It's incredible to see.
Shout out to him, man. I love to hear those stories. Anytime I hear a story about someone who just doesn't give up, man, or just doesn't want to quit, like that's me, man. Like I might take a knee, you know, I might lose everything, but I'll tell you right now, man, don't walk, don't turn away, man, because I'm gonna keep coming. And so that's how everybody should be, because we get one shot at this thing, and then we don't know how much time we have here. But I'll tell you guys before we leave here what I told my son. My son, I love him. He's doing good. He got his bachelor's degree in accounting. He's married. His wife's an attorney, and we come from a very ugly world. And when he was about 16, he was going through it. He was having that issue. And I had to sit down and tell him, look, man, you got two choices here, man. You can believe in this guilt trip you're trying to give me, which I'm not built that way, so I can't fall into that guilt trip. Or you can muscle up, man, and understand that in 15 years or so, you may have a child, and you have to make a decision. Is that child going to be looking at you, wondering whether you're going to be able to take care of them, or that child going to look at you and all they're going to worry about is how much you love them? You have to make that decision. We all have to make that decision. And if you guys are out here, you're going through it, you're going through some shit. Maybe you've been incarcerated. Maybe you're around the wrong people. I don't know. But let me tell you something. If you decide to change your circumstances and you decide to do something for yourself, real estate's real estate is probably one of the most, I don't know, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's not, you don't gotta do econ, fucking. You don't have to do. I mean, we all should do crypto, but you don't have to do crypto. You don't have to learn how to fucking do this or that. Real estate is the great equalizer, man. It can change your life. It can change your life. You can reach for the stars and be like, hey, man, I want to do the biggest events ever. We did that. Or you can be like, I just want to fucking make $10,000 a month. It's what you want to do, man. And if when we leave here tonight, what I'll tell everybody is, if you're just starting, first of all, you're in the right spot. It's a beautiful community. If
Thank
you're
you.
just starting, understand something. We all started. We all started somewhere. We all started somewhere. You just got to get there. Tomorrow you'll know more than yesterday. 6 months from now, you'll know more than you know today. If you just don't quit and you just put your mind to do this business, I promise you, man. I promise you, you will change your life. That's that's really what I want to end it with, man.
Fantastic. Uncle Charles, thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. Let everybody know, where can we follow you? Where can we stay in touch? Can we see you more on the Discord? And do you have an Instagram that we can send people to go follow you on? Where can we stay in touch with you?
Oh, my Instagram is and that's kind of funny, guys, but my Instagram is real, like real Uncle Charles, and I had to say real because there's a bunch of fake ones out there. I'm just kidding, man. So it's real Uncle Charles. I'm on Instagram, and I got a pretty good following there, and on TikTok, pretty good following. I drop a lot of information there, so you can follow me there. And if some folks have a question, usually they'll ask me on IG a question, and I try to answer everybody. I usually do it late at night when I'm just going through it. Some people have questions. Sometimes people have deals that are very complicated. I sometimes get involved. If I can give someone the answer real quick, I will. But if I have to get involved, then I gotta get involved. And so Instagram is probably the best. Um, One thing I'll leave you guys. I'll leave you guys one last nugget, man. I'm not gonna tell you how to do it. Just think about it. Excessive funds and overages. Every county in the United States forecloses on properties, usually for more than what they should have. There's excessive funds. You can request that list from the district clerk. It tells you all the properties and how much money is owed to people. On wholesale, go find the people. Overages, mortgage foreclosures. Sometimes they get foreclosed for more money. So at the auction, they collect more money than what they should have. There's money available. Learn how to find those people. Help them with the overages. A lot of money to be made, guys. That's all I want to say about that. If you have a
Ladies
deal
and
like
gentlemen.
that, call Uncle Charles. I got you, man.
Well, we got to get you back to talk about those excessive overages at some point. But thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the #1 most valuable real estate community in existence. If you haven't already, you need to invite somebody you think would benefit from being in proximity with us. Make sure to go and follow Uncle Charles on Instagram at Real Uncle Charles. We dropped the link in the side chat. Go and click on that link and make sure that you follow him. And if you haven't already, please consider inviting somebody you think would benefit from being in proximity with us. And until next time, take care, everybody.
Everybody.